This method for division I call the box method, and it's basically exactly like the standard algorithm for long division, except instead of going vertically, the students work the problem horizontally. So I'm going to demonstrate with the problem below, 2,162 divided by 6, first with a one-digit divisor. So they start by drawing a box, and I've already divided the box into parts, but really they only need to divide their box into enough parts so that each digit of their dividend has room to be placed one digit per box. So I would begin by putting my 2,162 in each box. And notice that I leave room to the left of each digit and below each digit. That's important. And then my divisor goes on the outside of my box. And what we teach the kids is just to look at the problem one box at a time. So I start with the first box and I say, how many 6s can I get out of this box? And obviously there's none. So they put a 0 on top, and that means that we're subtracting 0 out of that box, which leaves 2. You tell them that their goal is to empty every box. So since there's 2 left in the box, we carry that 2 to the next box. And now there's 21 in the second box, and that's the only box we're working on at this time. So how many 6s can you get out of that second box? And some kids like to just subtract 6s out of the box, or they can use their multiplication facts and know that they can get 3 6s out of the box. So they're getting 3 6s out of the box. That goes on top, and that is subtracting 18 out of the box. We use underneath the box as a workspace. So again, you might see kids do this, where they have work that looks like that, where they can see that they've subtracted 3 6s out of the box. Or you might see them try some multiplication facts where they do their work like this. But either way, they would come up with 3 6s. And we subtract that. 21 minus 18 is 3. And we want to empty that box. So 3 goes to the next box. And now we're seeing how many 6s we can get out of the next box. And since there are 6, we put that at the top. They might do some work underneath, like multiplication facts or subtracting, repeated subtracting, but it ends up to be 6, and that takes 36 out of the box, which leaves 0. So they don't have to carry anything to the next box. And how many 6s can they get out of the next box? They can get 0. So they subtract, and there's 2 left in that box. But there's no other boxes to use. So then we teach them that that's their remainder. They can either write it as a remainder of 2, or they can say that 2 out of 6 is left in that box. So their answer would be 360 and 2 6. Next, I'm going to do a 2-digit divisor. So I'm going to place my dividend into my boxes. Oops, didn't mean to do that. I have 8,305 divided by 16. And we all know with 2-digit divisors, kids have a hard time because they don't know multiplication facts for 16, so they just stop and say, I can't do it. But with this method, we don't give them an excuse like that. So here's how we talk them through. We start with box 1 and say, how many 16s can you get out of that first box? And there's not any in there, so that's 0. And so we're taking 0 out of that box, which leaves 8, and we want to empty the box, so we carry that 8 to the next box. And now there's 83. And how many 16s are in that box? And, again, this is where kids want to say, I don't know. So we don't let them say, I don't know. We say, with this method, you don't have to know. You make a guess. So you can either start subtracting your 16s from 83 if you want. So you can start with 83 and start subtracting 16s to see how many will work or how many you can get out. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. And there's 5. So there's 5 that would come out. Or what I like to tell the 6th graders is you start making a guess. And we say if you have no idea, start in the middle. Start with 16 times 5. And that, if it's too much, you go down. And if it's too little, you go up. So we tell them to start here if you have no clue. So there's no excuse to say, I don't know where to go, because we've given you a starting point. So we say start with 16 times 5. That is 80. And then we say, do you think that's it? Should you guess one more, guess one less? And obviously that's going to be the right answer. So there's 5 16s in that box, which is going to take away 80. And that leaves 3 in the box. So we carry that 3 to the next box. And then we say, okay, use your work. We don't ever let them erase their work. And we say, 5 16s was 80. So is this going to be more than 5 or less than 5? And we have them guess. So maybe they guess that there's 2 16s. And that's 32. So that's too much. And so what's your next guess? Of course, it would be 16 times 1. So there's 1 16 in the box. So that's going to take out at 16. That leaves 14. So we have to carry that 14 out to empty the box. Now I've got 145. And again, if they haven't erased their work, they can use that. We know that 5 16ths was 80. So we say, make a guess based on that. Maybe it's 7 16ths. That gives you 112. Do you think it could be more? Okay, so maybe it's 9 16ths. They make another guess. That is 144. And yes, there is enough for 9 16ths to come out of that box. So a 9 goes up there, which leaves 1 left over. And there's no other box to carry to. So that tells me that I have 1 out of 16 left over. So my answer to this problem is 519 with 1 out of 16 left over. And that's the box method with a 1-digit divisor and a 2-digit divisor.